This episode of Distraction is sponsored by Landmark College, offering bachelor's and associate programs, short-term and summer programs for students who learn differently. Learn more at lcdistraction.org. Landmark College, the college of choice for students who learn differently. Hello, this is Dr. Ned Hallowell with a mini episode of Distraction. On Halloween, it's cool to be scared on a haunted hayride or watching a scary movie. But being afraid of snakes, heights, needles, or the dentist, or the sight of blood can be debilitating in real life. What should we do? Well, you know, fear is a form of stimulation. And like most forms of stimulation, it can be adaptive or maladaptive. Ideally, fear is a warning signal. It's a stimulation that warns you. Your brain tenses up. You get filled with a sort of anxious apprehension that we all know very well. And it's your brain's way of telling you, your entire body's way of telling you, because the whole body gets involved in the fear system, telling you that there's danger nearby. And that's a wonderful thing. You know, worry, fear, anxiety, it's wonderful. We would be in tremendous danger if we didn't have that. It's like the sense of pain. You think, well, what good is pain? Pain is a really important signal to tell you when you've got an injury. People who can't feel pain die because they don't know when they've been hurt. Well, similarly, fear is a wonderful ally as long as it goes off when it should. And that's the thing. I mean, it's like people who worry when they shouldn't. They suffer from what I call toxic worry. And people who feel fear when they shouldn't suffer from toxic fear. Now, if it's a fear of a specific stimulus, if it's a fear of a specific thing, we call it a phobia. Phobia, you know, means you don't like a thing. A hydrophobia is you avoid water. A phobia, fear of flying, fear of heights. You know what the most common phobia is? Fear of public speaking. Fear of public speaking. And if you have to speak in public, that's a big problem. Well, when I started in my career way back in the 1980s, and I realized that I wanted to be talking to groups of people because I had messages I wanted to put across, not just to other doctors, but to the general public. You know, when I began my career as what I call an itinerant preacher, I'm out there spreading various words all the time. I had one problem. I was terrified to speak in front of people. I had a phobia of public speaking. What was I to do? I mean, it was so bad when I would give a talk, I had to have it written out, typed out. I had to read it from a lectern. My hands would tremble so much when I was moving one page to the other. It was embarrassing. My mouth would be chalk dry, but I couldn't bring a glass of water to my lips because it would be trembling. I'd be trembling so much. It was pretty pathetic. I would stand there, you know, this totally terrified speaker and demonstrate how terrified I was. It's hard to hold an audience when you're reading aloud from a prepared text and you're trembling. But I really wanted to do it. And so that became my treatment plan. I didn't do what I am about to advise you all to do, to consult a mental health professional, to get cognitive behavioral therapy, to get medication. I didn't do any of that, you know, for the same reason so many of us guys, suck it up and tough it out. That's what I did. I sucked it up and I toughed it out. And I kept speaking. I kept getting invited because I guess the content was good enough. I kept getting invited and I kept speaking and I kept sucking it up and toughing it out. And gradually I changed such that if you came to one of my talks today, you'd see a man walking around the stage, no notes whatsoever, no PowerPoint, just me and my mouth, no prepared text, nothing. I go on stage with an idea of what I want to say. My talks vary all the time. I'm gesturing, I'm laughing, I'm walking into the audience, I'm having a great time. The exact opposite of the way I started. And there's actually a name for the therapy that I gave myself. I didn't know it at the time, but it's called immersion. I immersed myself in the feared experience. And the fact of the matter is, if you can do that, the fear will dissipate because your body chemically is simply not able to sustain fear for a very, very long time. And like if you're afraid of blood, if you just go to an ER and just make a point of finding as much blood as you can, a lot of medical students have a fear of blood, and we get over it simply because we have to see blood. It's the suck it up method, but it's not cruel because it will work. Now, there are other methods if you don't want to do that method. The method I used is certainly the cheapest, and it is reliable. But you can see a professional and get a course of cognitive behavioral therapy where you can gradually, systematically desensitize yourself. And fear of heights, you can go up to the first floor, second floor, third floor, and you can also visualize. You can do this in your mind. You can imagine being 10 feet high and then imagine 20 feet high. And fear of bridges, you can go with someone and drive over bridges and let the other person drive you and then you drive yourself. All behavioral ways of intervening, because you can train the fear away. These are get-overable for sure. All phobias are get-overable. Now, sometimes, like I have a patient who absolutely cannot get over his fear of needles. He has to be anesthetized to have blood drawn. He has to be anesthetized to have a shot. And this is a grown man, an adult. And he's had every therapy under the sun. So I can't say everybody can get better. This fellow just has not been able to, and not for want of accessing all the therapies that are available. But that's a rare exception. Most of the time, I'd go as far as to say 95% of the time, if you try the different methods we have, these phobias can be addressed, can be cured, can be fixed. I'm a living example where I went from a terror of public speaking, the most common fear, to a love of it. I go on now and I have a great time. The audience and I connect. That's why I don't use PowerPoint, because I want to connect with the audience. We enjoy each other. We laugh together. They'll ask me, challenge me, I'll respond. I think of giving talks now as a tremendously creative thing that I love to do. And I used to be terrified of it. Keep that in mind around whatever you might be terrified, and don't think of it as a fixed quality. This is an absolute changeable quality. This is Dr. Ned Hallowell telling you to let go of your fears for Distraction. Distraction is a project of Sounds Great Media. The podcast is recorded and edited by the marvelously talented Pat Keogh, and our producer is the extraordinarily talented Sarah Guertin.